I don't remember the first toy I ever owned. I don't remember my first school day clearly, but I remember my grandmother's laugh, loud, warm, a little crooked at the end, like she forgot to stop smiling. And whenever I hear a kettle whistle, I still think of her tiny kitchen, her faded blue shawl, and the way she called my name like it was the most important word in the world. This is the story of my grandma, my best friend in childhood. When I was little, my parents were always busy. Father worked long hours, mother had endless chores, but Grandma, she had time. Endless time. Time for stories, games, silly songs, and secret snacks she swore not to tell my mother about. Her house was small, but it felt bigger than any palace, maybe because every corner held magic. A wooden box full of buttons that became pirate treasure, a cracked mirror that turned us into movie stars, a broken alarm clock that was our time machine, and suddenly we were freedom fighters, or kings, or circus clowns, or detectives searching for missing mango pickles. I never knew imagination could be so loud until I met her. Grandma had rules, funny rules, important rules, rules that made childhood sparkle. Rule number 1, laugh loudly. Quiet laughs are wasted laughs. Rule number 2, always save the biggest sweet for someone else. Rule number 3, when it rains, dance first, dry later. We followed them like soldiers on a mission. Once, during the monsoon, she grabbed my hand and ran outside. We spun in the rain, splashing puddles, singing songs she made up on the spot. Neighbors stared, dogs barked, my mother shouted from the balcony. Grandma just winked and said, "We are watering our happiness." That day, I learned joy doesn't need permission. Her kitchen was a universe of smells. Cardamom tea, fried fritters crackling in oil, and her secret mango pickle hidden behind the flour tin. She cooked slowly, humming songs from her youth. Sometimes I let her stir the pot. Sometimes I spilled everything. Sometimes we both laughed until the tea boiled over. Mistakes, she said, are spices of memory. I didn't understand then. I do now. Every night she told stories, stories about talking parrots, brave princesses, silly ghosts scared of cats, and heroes who won with kindness instead of swords. But my favorite stories were about her childhood, walking miles to school barefoot, sharing one pencil with 3 friends, watching traveling cinemas under the stars. She made poverty sound like adventure, not sadness. She made life sound brave. Grandma never went to college, but she was the smartest person I knew. She could fix broken toys with thread. She could cure sadness with jokes. When I cried after losing a race, she whispered, "You didn't lose, you learned your speed." When I failed a test, she said, "Good, now we know what to fix." When I broke her favorite cup, she hugged me and said, "It was lonely anyway." Her love had no conditions, only warmth. Summer holidays were our golden season. We woke before sunrise to watch sparrows argue on the roof. We drew maps of imaginary kingdoms. We played shopkeeper with leaves as money. We built forts from bed sheets and called them castles. Once we tried to bake a cake using salt instead of sugar. We tasted it and screamed, then laughed so hard we cried. Grandma wiped her tears and said, "Perfect. Now we invented comedy cake." She had a way of making ordinary days feel like festivals. If the electricity went out, she lit candles and told ghost stories. If there was no money for toys, she made dolls from socks. If I was bored, she gave me missions. Count stars, write a poem, draw the sound of rain. She turned boredom into creativity, silence into music, waiting into wonder. When I started school, I was scared. New faces, new rules, new fears. But Grandma walked me to the gate every day. She squeezed my hand and said, "You carry my courage in your pocket." And I believed her. One day, a boy bullied me. I ran home crying. Grandma listened quietly. Then she handed me 2 chocolate biscuits. "One for you," she said, "one for him tomorrow." "Why him?" I asked angrily. "Because kindness confuses bullies," she smiled. The next day, he became my friend. Grandma winked. She always knew. She taught me secrets adults forget: how to whistle with leaves, how to tell time by shadows, how to listen to silence, how to forgive quickly, and most importantly, how to notice small joys: a butterfly on a wall, hot bronzers in winter, a good story before sleep, a shared laugh. She said, "Big happiness is built from tiny bricks." Years passed. I grew taller, school became harder, friends changed, phones appeared, television grew louder, life sped up. But Grandma stayed the same: soft shawl, bright eyes, slow steps, fast jokes. She still saved the biggest sweet for me. Then came the day I left for college. I tried to act brave. She tried too. She packed snacks, socks, prayers, and a tiny note that said, "Laugh loudly." At the bus stop, she hugged me longer than usual. Her hands trembled. Her smile didn't. "Don't forget me," she joked. "Impossible," I said. But life gets busy. Calls become shorter, visits become rare, and suddenly time moves faster than love is ready for. One winter evening, I came home and found her sitting quietly by the window, older, smaller, softer. But when she saw me, her face lit up like happiness. We talked all night, laughed at old memories, burned tea again, shared the last chocolate cake. Before sleeping, she held my hand and whispered, "You were my favorite adventure." I didn't know it would be our last long conversation. Months later, she was gone. No warning big enough, no goodbye long enough, just silence where laughter used to live. The house felt empty, the radio quiet, the kettle lonely. But then I found her note in my old bag. It said, "Laugh loudly." And suddenly she wasn't gone. She was everywhere: in rain puddles, in warm tea, in silly jokes, in kindness to strangers, in every time I saved the biggest sweet for someone else. Today, when people ask about my childhood, I don't talk about toys or schools or games. I talk about my grandma, my first storyteller, my first teacher, my partner in crime, my hero without a cape, my best friend. She taught me joy. She taught me courage. She taught me love without conditions. And even now, when life gets heavy, I hear her laugh in my memory, crooked at the end, bright as morning, full of love. Time moves on, but memories, they stay right where we left them. This is Moments We Remember. Before we end tonight's story, I want to ask you something from the heart. When you think about your childhood, who was your best friend? Was it your grandma, your grandpa, a cousin, a neighbor, a school friend, or maybe even a pet who never left your side? Close your eyes for a moment. Hear their laugh. Remember their voice. Remember the little moments that made your childhood magical. Now, come back and write their name in the comments. Tell us one small memory you shared with them, because here on Moments We Remember, your memories matter. Your stories keep love alive. So don't be shy. Who was your best friend in childhood? Write it below. We'd love to remember with you. And tonight, we remembered Grandma.